Yeah. So a very warm welcome to everybody that has joined us online this afternoon as we go further into the ballot form that is relevant to the judges that look after the table topics speech contest for Toastmasters International. This ballot form that we're going to be having a look at this afternoon is the official Toastmasters International ballot form and is applicable for all the contests that we hold in the table under the table topics name from club level, area level, division level, and district level. Table topics contest does not go further than the district level. Only the international prepared speech contest goes further than district level. But the table topics contest is still recognized as per the rule book from Toastmasters International as an official speech contest, and therefore the official speech contest ballot forms need to be used by our judges and definitely should be referred to by all contestants that are looking to partake in this contest. The idea is that there's a standard, and that standard then gets applied across all of the table topics contests, making it not only fair for the judges, but making it extremely fair for our contestants. So if our contestants understand that form and understand the criteria that we as judges are going to be using, the contestants can actually prepare in advance their body language, practice their body language, practice their vocal variety, and any other criteria that is listed on that judge's ballot. So I'm going to be sharing with you the official Toastmasters International Judges Ballot. I have got written notice from headquarters that this is the only ballot we are allowed to use in our official Toastmasters contests. So that means we are not allowed to make use of Excel spreadsheets or Google Forms or any other format. We can only make use of this official ballot that is available to our judges, and like I said, is available to our contestants as they prepare themselves for their contest. So let's get straight into it. I'm going to share my screen. Please stay unmuted. Please, this is not a training session at all. This is much more of a workshop where we together can discuss what this ballot form actually means and what it's about, so that we all have a better understanding of what we're looking at, whether we are judges or whether we are contestants. So just let's get a feeling from the room. How many of you here in the room have judged before in a contest, especially the table topics contest? So great, you have. I see your hand raised. That popped up. Erica has. That's awesome. Anyone else? Okay, so we have two people in the room that are familiar with this form. Oh, excuse me. Erica, do you want to share anything to kickstart us? Do you want to share anything in your experience as a judge in this particular contest? Is there anything that you would like to share with us from your personal experience that you think would be relevant and helpful to other members? Are you able to share, Erica?
Sorry, Kirsten, what was that?
Have you got anything you would like to share regarding this particular ballot form and your experience with it in the contests that you would like to share with us?
No, not really. I mean, I just went through obviously the normal judges briefing, but I'm here to learn and go deeper in so that we can do a better job, right?
Okay. All right. Absolutely. How did you use the form, Erica? Did you go criteria for criteria for criteria?
I did. I'm a little bit of a nerd. So I did. I went, although I didn't go to like 23 to 29, I rounded up. So I kind of You know, when if I was in that 23 to 29 block at the top, I would go 25, and 17 to 22, I would go 15. I mean, I'd go 20, just because then adding was easier for me. But and then I think halfway through, somebody was sharing an Excel spreadsheet that did the adding up for you, so that was easier.
Yeah.
But I did. I'm a bit of a nerd, so I did try and stick to the numbers.
Okay, excellent. Thank you for that share, Erica. Who was the other Toastmaster that was a judge? Sigrid, was that you?
Yes, yes.
Do you want to share anything with us?
And there's one thing with the table topics. The first two, speech development and effectiveness, count the most. And yes, that those play a vital role in judging. So, but the others can't be left behind. But yeah, the speech development and effectiveness, those played a major role because it's more than 50% of the points go there.
Correct, 100%. That's a really good point. Thank you for sharing that, Sigrid. 100%. So I think I'm going to come back to what Sigrid and Erica have shared with us, and just give those of you that haven't judged before a little bit of an understanding of this ballot form before we get into discussions. As you can see, each contest in the Toastmasters stable has its own judge's guide and ballot. And each one of these is custom made for that contest. Each one will allow you now to capture up to 10 names across the top. And you will just type the name in there as they call out the names. Now you can type them in any order you want. It can be speaking order, or it can be in the order that they appear on the agenda. It's really up to you how you capture the names at the top. Then down the left side of the form,
sorry, can somebody please mute them?
the judging items. So I'm just going to mute. There just seems to be some background noise. You bear with me.
You don't want to mislead. You want to mislead.
I'm just looking for where the noise is coming from. Okay. All right. So if you need to speak, please just unmute yourselves. Down the left-hand side of the form, it now gives the actual judging items. And these are the items that we as judges need to look out for and pay attention to while the contestant is delivering. And only these items. These items are very specific to that particular contest. And like I said to you, what we want to do is we want to allow people the opportunity to be judged on exactly the same criteria as the next contestant, whether it's in your club or in the next door club or in the area or in the division or the district. So it's very important that as judges, we use this form. And Erica used the word, I'm a nerd. You're not a nerd. The idea is, just like Erica said, we measure only on these criteria, only on the criteria that is listed here. And we pay attention to all of the criteria that is listed here. Sigrid, you were talking about the fact that content is 55%. You're 100% correct. So if we have a look how each of these criteria are broken up or grouped, 55% of the 100% or the 100 marks that a contestant can score, 55 of those marks are allocated to the actual content of their presentation. Whereas delivery, only 30 marks or 30% are allocated. And if we have a look at language, only 15 marks or 15% are allocated. So it is important that we look at overall content, delivery, and language. we need to look at all of those items. I see someone's raised their hand. Yes, would you like to share?
Yes, thank you so much, Kirsten. I was just wondering, what makes good content versus not so good content? Thank you.
I think that's a really good question. So thank you for that question. So I think that's what we're going to have a look at. That's exactly what we're going to have a look at. So for each of these criteria that are listed here, if you go to the second page, it actually explains exactly what each criteria means and what the judges should be looking for. So as judges, it's no use coming on the day, taking the form and going, okay, awesome, I can judge. As judges, according to the rule book, you should be briefed 2 weeks in advance. And the reason why they ask you to be briefed 2 weeks in advance is so that you, as judges, have time to go through and understand exactly what's being looked for here. Because while someone is presenting, especially in table topics, which is only 1 to 2 minutes, you don't have time to read through all of this. You don't have time to become familiar with all of this. So it's a really good idea that judges, as well as the contestants in this contest, sit down, especially with page 2, and have a look and try and understand as best as you can to your ability what each criteria means. So if we go back to the question where it was saying what is good content, if we have a look here under speech development, it's where the speaker has put ideas together so that the audience can understand them. They've structured around a purpose and include an opening, a body, and a conclusion. Now, to me, this has always been a huge criteria when I judge in the table topics contest. And for me, the table topics presentation should have exactly the same structure as a prepared presentation. In other words, what was the speaker's purpose? And remember, there's the general purpose where they could be taking a slice from a pie. In other words, that pie is made up of persuade, inform, inspire, or entertain, hence the word pie. So that could be their general purpose. You could identify their specific purpose, but there really should be an opening, a body, and a conclusion. To me, this was always critically important, because that's what we learn every single week in our Toastmasters Club meetings and as we go through our pathways. So the table topics should have a very similar structure to a prepared speech. The response is supported then by relevant examples, illustrations, facts, and figures, and if appropriate, delivered smoothly. Now, here again, it's going to be open to interpretation and the judges feel. Remember, at the end of the day, the judge is part of the audience. So, and the audience, it becomes very personal for an audience member what somebody is saying up on the stage. So it is really up to you if you feel that the examples and the illustrations, the facts and figures were relevant to what the topic was that was given to the Toastmaster. However, saying that out loud, I don't know how many of you have experienced really brilliant table topics deliveries where somebody has twisted the topic or taken a different spin on the topic. Now, for me, I don't mark against that. I listen very carefully, making sure that there's a purpose, there's an opening, a body, and a conclusion, and I work out, can they support it? So if they have twisted the topic, can they support that twist? And can they deliver it smoothly? So I always come back to these guidelines to support the way that I judge someone that is competing in a contest. I think something to really remember and to continue to engage with is the fact that this is a contest. So we are not looking to deliver an evaluation. We are not looking for areas where they could improve. We're not looking for the warm and fuzzy and how we're going to support them going forward. We are genuinely deciding if they are fair. Let's go back up to that criteria. I'll show you what I'm using. We are genuinely deciding if they are fair, good, very good, or excellent. That is what we're deciding. It's really that simple. And it's based on that criteria every step of the way. So I want to ask you, excuse me, I want to ask you, what do you think fair means? What do you think good means as a judge? What do you think very good means? And what do you think excellent means? I'm going to quickly stop my share because I would like to make my very sweet volunteer, Erica, co-host, but I couldn't make her co-host while I was sharing. Erica, it also seems I can't make you co-host at the moment. I don't know why it's done that. So I'm going to remain host, but thank you so much for that very kind offer. Ladies and gentlemen, please unmute yourselves and share with me, what do you think, or how would you measure what is fair, what is good, very good, and excellent? What does that mean to you? Without looking at the marks, what does that mean to you? Jules, I see you in the room and you're a very experienced judge. What do you interpret those criteria, those values as?
Sorry, I was so late, by the way.
No, not at all. Thank you for joining.
Still at the office. Okay, to me, fair is like the average baseline. They're not grabbing me. They're not delivering as a contestant should. Good will be, oh, okay, sparked. Listening. Very good. Between very good and excellent, actually, I tend to go, okay, I've scored that person X and I've scored that person Y. But that first one, who is X, actually is better than Y, so therefore I'm going to bump it up to the higher mark. So I'm very strict when it comes to giving excellent and very good, because it must be. If you're good, you're good. But this is a contest. You've got to be very good.
Agreed. I think that's excellent description, Jewel. Thank you so much for sharing. I agree with you totally. Anyone else? Anyone else got an understanding of these? Thank you for that, Jewel. I think that was a very, very apt description. I can relate to it completely. Anyone else got anything to add to that? So for me, and the years that I've been judging, fair means they are a capable and able Toastmaster. So in a club environment, they are delivering awesome, wonderful table topic presentations. In other words, I can see that they are a Toastmaster when it comes to table topics. And for me, fair is what I expect of every single Toastmaster that has been practicing table topics. Good means, aha, now I understand why their club has nominated them for this level, or why they have volunteered to now actually compete. So now I am expecting literally minimum. Fair is minimum requirement for me. Good means they are able to now, I can see that they are a little bit more than just a Toastmaster delivering a table topics contest, a speech. They actually are a contestant. Very good. I agree with Jewel. To me, this is now where I am expecting to be wowed. I'm expecting to be impressed. I'm expecting to be a little bit jealous that I can't speak like that. That's where very good comes in. It is an exception to the rule for me personally, Jewel. I don't know about you. Erica, you've also judged. Sigrid, you've also judged. It's a huge exception to the rule for me to give an excellent. Absolutely. For me to give an excellent, you have to have been like speaking like Nelson Mandela or JFK or Martin Luther King, you know, you've got to be excellent. How do you feel, Jewel, Erica, Sigrid?
Totally agree. Sorry, I was playing with my mute. Totally and absolutely agree. Excellent is only when they've knocked my socks off from start to finish.
100%. Yeah, I'm the same. Erica, Sigrid, do you agree? Do you give full marks? Have you given full marks?
Yeah, I must admit I'm quite stingy, so full marks is very rare for me to give. But because I'm stingy with everybody, I feel it's fair, right? It's not that I'm less stingy with one person and more stingy with one. I think the key thing is we all have our own assessment of fair, good, very good, excellent. And as long as you apply that consistently to every single contestant, then you are being fair. The danger is if, you know, you feel sorry for someone and you go, oh, shame. They struggled with their mic. Let me bump them up a little bit. That's not our role. Our role is to judge the speech and make sure that we are consistent. So I don't think I've ever given an excellent, not because speeches weren't fantastic, but because I'm always thinking maybe the next one will be better and I want to keep a gap for better, right? So, you know, if I put the number one speaker as excellent, then and the second one is better, then what do I do, right? So I give myself a gap.
Okay, that's actually really interesting, and that raises another question. Do we measure and judge the contestants against each other, or do we measure and judge them independently? So Erica, you measuring and judging against each other in the contest?
Well, our role is to come, I mean, you're at the end of the day, as a judge, you give your first, second, third place. Okay, so that's what you're doing. You're not telling anyone your scores, how you ranked, anything. All you have to provide the chief judge is first, second, third. Now, so you are rating them against each other. That is your job. And yes, I try very hard to judge each speech independently, but at the end of the day, I have to choose who was first. So in the moment, I try and listen only to that speech and score. But then at the end of the day, I have to say, okay, if I scored Kirsten 23 and I scored Mary 23, but I have to have a winner, which one was maybe a 24 and not a 23, right? Like that's at the end of the day, that's what I got to do, is what I think, Kirsten. I don't know if I'm wrong.
No, how can we be wrong? I don't think there's a right and a wrong, but I think exactly what you were saying, the consistency is very important. Jewel, I know you also do the same as Erica. You judge them against each other, correct?
Correct. I'll score them independently, but as I said, when you end up with scores that are the same, you have to break that deadlock because you cannot give a draw.
Yeah, as judges, we can't give a tie.
Yeah, so then I will score them against each other. Initially, it'll be, as Erica says, just that score. Just that person, just that speech, and I'll evaluate. But if they end up with the same, then I'll go, okay, the development for the one was stronger than the development for the other, so I'll reduce here. So I never actually bump up, I reduce down.
Okay, all right.
But it's consistent across the board.
Well, that's the whole thing. That's the key, is that consistency. Sigrid, you got something to add to that?
Not currently, no. I was a while away, sorry.
No, not at all. Thank you. Okay, so for me, and Benedicta, I see your question on the chat box. I have got it open. I'll go to your question now, but just to let you know, and this is why I'm really chuffed that we're doing these workshops, is to explore the different ways of judging. So I don't judge contestants against each other at all. So I judge very much about a single presentation. Very much about a single presentation. And If that presentation, depending on what they've earned, that presentation gets that score. So at the end of the day, I should have at the bottom 3 top scores. And the way that I do it is I now go and have a look and I count down underneath the criteria here. So I go opening, body, close. So for me, that's A, B, and C. Organization and smoothness, D and E. So there are 5 criteria under speech development worth 30 marks. And I then have got 6 letters. So if they give me an opening, I go, excellent, they got A. And I listen and I listen. Yes, there was B, there was definitely the body. And I like the way they organized it. Yes, yes, I can hear that. That's great. And they also, it was very smooth. So I give them that. And then they closed it. Yes, that's all. So in my mind, they've now hit all 5 criteria. If somebody is sitting with an A, B, C, D, E in that column, then I go and I literally give them the 29 here. Unless they completely wowed me, which doesn't happen often, then I will give them the 30. But what happens is somebody might have a great opening, they'll have a body, but then it's not smooth. I can see that they're struggling to think of their next point and they're trying to get 3 points in because they've learned to do the triad and they struggle. So then they don't land up getting the smoothness and the organization. And so they land up with an ABC. So now they've only got 3 of the letters with the average being B, so that's my score. So if I then go and have a look here, this is an A, this is a B, this is a C, and this is a D. And then I will go give them halfway mark here for a B. And I'll give them that score. So I am very specific that they meet and match every single one of these criteria. And I count that they've matched those. And if they get 5 out of 5, like I said, they'll get an A. And my A's are 29, 28, 29. If they get a B, then they'll get 23 to 25. Anything less than that, they're going to get a C or they're going to get a D. And I do that for every single criteria, every single one. So that hopefully I land up with 3 different scores at the bottom. But I haven't compared this person's presentation to this one. Technically, I have compared them technically. So even if this presentation didn't wow me and I wasn't into the topic, but they technically covered all of this, they're going to get a high mark from me because they've met the criteria on the judging form. So that's how I judge. So Benedicta, back to your comment. How do you score someone whose content was below average or good? I have used 0. I'm not going to lie to you. I've given people 0. I've given people 1, 2, 3. I'm not shy to give it to them. If their content is below and they don't have an obvious opening, body and close, there is no organization, there's no purpose to the speech, they're just rambling, they will earn from me a 0, a 1, or 2. I am that harsh because I'm judging, and the criteria says that is what they must have. Ladies, those of you that have judged before, Emmanuel, haven't you judged before?
I've judged before.
And how do you judge, sir?
Okay, generally, I just mark every contestant independently, but I must also say at the same time I'm a human being, and so sometimes I feel like let me compare who did I think was the best or whatever. So I use the judging items and the definitions of trying to be as objective as I can. But I reckon also that I am a human being, and sometimes in my mind, I'm also checking who do I think was the best speaker here. So yeah, sometimes we have I have these very objective key points. At the same time, I also have my subjectivity in play.
Absolutely, we're human beings, and Emmanuel, I couldn't agree with you. I couldn't agree with you more. At the end of the day, we're going to be impressed by someone's presentation, or we're not going to be impressed by someone's presentation. For me, exactly like Erica was talking about, there's got to be that consistency throughout. And for me, the important thing is to hold on to the criteria. So, if you didn't know the topic that the person was talking about, or if, you were just in general conversation and someone spoke, and you had that gut reaction that is an awesome speaker, or that was a great presentation, to me, we're not doing the actual contestant. We're not giving them any value if they're not able to answer the question. Remember that the first criteria that we need to look at as judges, and the contestants need to remember, is, does the speaker put the ideas together so that we are able to understand them, and is the response supported? So as judges, we need to focus on this, and we need our contestants to focus on this. So to be a judge in a contest is extremely technical, but I agree with you. I'm not disagreeing with you, Emmanuel. We are human beings, and we are going to be wowed. Someone is just going to just be absolutely awesome. And you're like, I'd love to listen to this person speak all day, not just for 2 minutes. People do have that effect on us, and makes for great speakers and makes for a great contest. So if we go on and have a look, we spoke about the speech development part, and the effectiveness is, how did the response come across? Were you able to determine their purpose? Did they speak directly to the given question or topics? Was it clear and logically presented? So this part of that 55% of the marks is, did they answer the question? Did they answer with a purpose? And were we able to understand them? So back to what Emmanuel was saying, is to have that understanding that that's what you are actually looking for, and to understand that and work towards that. Benedicta, thank you so much. You're an awesome typist. For your question, do we have previous year's table topics content recordings? Unfortunately not. We don't record contests. So online now, in the rule book, there's nothing to say that we can't record the contests. However, in the rule book, it says we can't take photographs. Now, the reason why we couldn't take photographs in the past is because it was distracting. The flashes were distracting to the speakers. So at this stage, there is nothing in the rule book that says we cannot record the contest. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of recordings this year, and I'm sure that we will have a lot of material to work with going forward. But this is just the first session on this particular topic. I'm hoping to have 2 sessions per topic. So this is the first session for table topics. I'm hoping to have a second session. And in that second session, I'm hoping that we will have a speaker, and we can then all as judges discuss how we judged it. And hopefully there'll be contestants with us in the room, and they'll get some feedback. So I am going to try and do a dry run with us so that we can all experience and share how we judge. Thank you for that question. That was a great question. The last little part is obviously delivery for 30%. So the physical presentation, how effective was their body language, their appearance, their expression, Did they make use of the speaking area? Did they make use of their voice? So this is 30%. And again, when I mark in here, I go and I make sure that technically they are strong in their appearance. You know, they're not all huddled in the corner. Well, unless the speech calls for it, but they're not all huddled and hiding in the corner. They have excellent body language, the way they are using their body with purpose. They are making use of the speaking area. In other words, there's either, you know, big arm gestures when we're online, or they move to the side when they're talking about different parts of their speech. I do look for that. And then in their voice, I do look for flexibility and volume. As you can see here, the voice, when they talk about flexibility, if we go back to the criteria, let me just point out here. Why are you not jumping properly, Mr. PDF? There we go. Thank you very much. It should be flexible, moving from one pitch level to another, and should have a variety of rate and volume. So when they say flexibility, they are talking about pitch, they are talking about rate, and they are talking about volume. So to be honest, between you and me, for that particular one, remember where I was saying that I give, you know, marks out of 5. For this particular one and the voice, I do give marks out of 5. Because I want to, under flexibility, I want to see rate and volume, pitch and tone, as well as volume. So I do have a look at all 5 criteria. I don't just mark this one, you know, in my head when I'm deciding how they're doing technically. Out of 2, I do 5, because under flexibility is all of those vocal variety instructions that we have been receiving. And then last but not least, the section that looks after language is appropriateness and correctness. So was the choice of words relevant to the speech purpose? Number 1, they could have a very technical presentation, and if they use technical words, 100% it was relevant. I might not have understood all of them, but it was relevant to the topic and to the particular audience. So there again, they might be using technical terms, but was I, as an audience member, able to deduce their meaning? Did they make it not just applicable to the topic, but did they make it applicable to me? Was I able to gain understanding? Exactly here. Did it promote clear understanding of thought, and did it fit the occasion? And then correctness of language, ensuring that the language is directed to what the speaker is saying and not how it is said. In other words, not the accent, not the pronunciation. So there's nothing, we talk here about proper pronunciation, but again, the accent might affect that pronunciation. So I'm a little bit shy when it comes to pronunciation. It's not a big thing in my life. I know that pronunciation is important to a lot of people, but I am definitely kinder on pronunciation. To me, it's more about the content and the language supporting the content, and that they have used correct grammar. That to me is very important. But sometimes, and maybe it's because I have the same inflect where I don't pronounce all my words 100% correctly, and accents do affect pronunciation, that I am a little bit softer on pronunciation. We have 2 minutes left. Does anybody in the room want to talk about delivery or language? Anything you want to add that we should be considering as judges or as contestants? Anybody in the room? Anyone want to put up their hand or unmute themselves? You're more than welcome. Anyone want to share? Any feedback, any considerations, concerns, anything you do different or you do the same?
Just
Bill,
thank
you're
you.
unmuted. Do you want to add?
Yeah, just thank you, because you've actually put a different perspective. I mean, I'm very strict about using the score sheet, because you've got to judge people consistently across the board in the same way. But I've never actually applied it as well as you've just laid it out, where you say, okay, there's the opening body, the closed, the organization, smoothness. Let's give a point for each one of those. I still look at the speech development. I look at the opening, closed, and body, but in a less sort of numerical fashion. So now I'm going to look at it more numerically, which is even fairer. And like Emmanuel says, you know, you're human, but that takes out, or cuts out the human element a little bit more, allowing for a more based judgment.
A more technical
Thank you.
decision.
Yeah, more sorry.
No,
thank
Jules,
you.
I'm asking, is that what you were meaning?
Yes,
Is
you
my
become more
understanding correct?
technical. Yeah, you become more technical. You become a little more structured, as it were, in your evaluation or in your judgment.
So do you think that's better? Do you think that's fairer?
I do. I like it, because then, as you say, you're not comparing the one to the other. You're actually you're actually then just simply scoring them, and by right you should then end up with separate scores, with different scores. So I like that.
Thank you, Jules. Anyone else want to add anything? No. So I must be on. Yeah, someone wants to speak.
Hi, Kirsten.
Yes. Hi. Hi, Anston.
No, just from my side, this is quite new to me. First time that I'm actually standing on the other side of the table.
Are you normally standing up on that stage, Anston? Is that what you're telling us?
Yes. So it's actually a good view just to see what it's like on the other side, instead of just being from the one end and knowing exactly the criteria as well that you're being marked against. Even personally as well, should I even go and deliver my next speech? This is what I can personally look at, as well as trying to do to improve myself in certain areas. So thanks a lot.
No, it's a huge pleasure. Thank you for that feedback, Anston. Thank you. Awesome to have you in the room from the other side of the table. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
That's great. So from my side, like I said, we all need to use these official ballots. So if I don't print it, if I do print it out or I don't print it out, I get super excited when there's only 5 contestants in a contest, because I do use 2 columns. I like to use 2 columns for my judging. So so that I can put all my little markings in one column and then give them the score in the second column. If there's more than 5 contestants and they don't have 2 columns, then I make my markings in the top corners across either in the left, I'd make little dots or little ticks, and then I put my score in the main body. So it's like I was saying, Jules has just said, because I'm so technical. Oh, my dogs are moaning because it's 6 o'clock. Because I'm so technical in my judging. So it was just something to share. If you don't have to have a separate piece of paper, is what I wanted to share with you. Okay, thank you everybody for being online. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for sharing with us and sharing this afternoon with us. Please continue to be part of this process. Like I said, we have workshops twice a month, every second Wednesday. You're more than welcome to continue and joining in and participating with us, so that we can carry on going. All of the documentation is available on the Toastmasters International website, but I also will be sharing it in the WhatsApp group. If you're not part of the WhatsApp group, please get hold of me. I will add you to the WhatsApp group, but I will share all the resources in our WhatsApp group so that you will have access to them. We will be updating the web page in due course. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for being online. Have an awesome evening. Travel safe. Bye.
Thanks, Kirsten. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Goodbye.
Thanks, Erica. Thanks, Benedicta. Bye.
Hi, Kirsten.